Welcome back to the middle of our Make It Make Sense Jackson week. I am your host, Tarek Abdul-Tawwab, with my esteemed co-host, aka Young Man, aka KP. So I'm gonna bring it back. When you hear me say Young Man, I'm not talking to my producer, who is sitting right across from us, but to the young man next to us, who is the future of this show. But welcome back. Yeah, you say yes.
Good. Young man's gonna get ready to be 28 and cut and warm up.
You know what, folks, we're gonna have to bring. This is one. I don't do much about me and my other old man partner over here, even though we're pretty young, right? But we're gonna have to celebrate you, KP, and all the young people on your birthday. We're gonna do a birthday for all the young people on your birthday. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds wonderful, man.
Awesome. But welcome back, guys. Welcome back, family, here in Jackson, throughout Mississippi, throughout these United States. Just want to start with a short moment of silence for not just for folks that we've lost, but more importantly for a lot of the folks that we've lost here in Mississippi during these ice storms, and for folks that are still experiencing a lot of hardships due to not having power, and a lot of the basic necessities that go along with it. And having said that, I welcome you all back, as I usually do, hoping everybody has made some type of progress since the last show, and hoping as many of our loved ones that have left us have come back. How have you been, young man, since our last show?
Man, well, I'm gonna start out what we said at first. If we don't start on no drama, it ain't because we always gonna do something before the show, and we still make it here.
Yes, shout out. Oh, I see, definitely to my Lyft driver, the sister that just got me here on time, because I forgot you all that I didn't have my car. My wife had the car. We're down to one car right now fighting it, and I forgot, so I had to jump into a Lyft the last minute, and I had an amazing conversation. And as KP's alluded to, I left my phone in the Lyft once again. And she was riding and brought it back. Shout out to her and to her son C, a strong young brother, a young man who's coming up and hopefully is going to be part of this new wave in Jackson that starts to set us right. But shout out to you, sister. I appreciate the conversation in the Lyft, and you helped me get my mind right to go ahead and set it off in a good way.
Yeah, it is.
How about that? Any stars for you, KP? Anything you want to shout out for you?
Any shout outs? Shout out to Jackson, Shout out to the ones that's trying to fight and the ones that really want to take these positions away from these black representatives that ain't doing nothing for us. And the ones that's no longer with us that tried. Shout out to all y'all.
I got the young man heated up early, and I love it. What's funny, KP, to your point, what I was talking about with the sister inside of the Lyft was that, I want to see our heroes change, and I think it's going to start to spur a different feeling amongst our youth and amongst our people, especially those that are downtrodden, so to speak. And I said a sister that's got a son that's trying to either protect him from danger or ensure that, or doesn't have a babysitter because it's too expensive and she's trying to make more money. These type of folks, when you look at them as heroes versus somebody whose claim is simply that they attended the best of schools where they happen to be the only black person there, attended the best of colleges, have friends across the aisle, we've got to adjust who the heroes are. And I said to the sister, I'd much rather see you get an extra $20,000 per year, which would supplement the child care, for your children, and then you go on the city council having had the real lived experience of Jackson, and then you make decisions that affect the rest of us. And that's the way, to me, I always believe city council was supposed to be set up as a way just to help that person from the community that's doing something to change their community.
Yep.
And give them some extra money to help ensure that the daycare, those other things are still cared for while they put their all into the community. And what we have today is a lot of councilmen, council folk that, that simply seem to think about somebody's future other than the majority of Jacksonians.
The ones they come from and where they got to go back to when this all hit the fan. They only think about the moment of them being in their clarity. They don't think about the times when stuff didn't go our way while we was in a position of having that high power.
Yeah.
When it went down,
yeah.
Where you gonna run to?
Well, yeah. But see, sometimes, it's something called, what was when we were young, when people used to say that, a cruel way is whoever said it, let it, the person that let, but there was a way of us saying that, throwing your rock and hiding your hand is probably the best thing. Throwing your rock and hiding it. But when folks, a lot of times, the loudest one is the one doing what they're accusing folks of doing. So I think that sometimes folks that are always asking where people are from, you notice they're from a place, but they're not doing anything to improve that place. And that's something that when you talk about where people go back to, some of these folks aren't necessarily coming back to Jackson only. They've got residences in different places. They have investments in different places. They've got family in different areas. And they can flee back to those areas while the rest of Jackson suffers whatever decisions they make.
Oh, I'm not just saying Jackson. I'm saying black people as a whole.
Oh yeah, you're talking about nationwide.
When you
Absolutely.
go back to,
Yeah.
When we hold you accountable, when we put you on that picture, who you gonna run to then?
No, absolutely, absolutely. I have a lot of conversations. Probably if you ask my children too many, but and I mean in public everywhere I go, and that's what people's feel is right now, KP. Especially here in Mississippi, and from here to rank everywhere I go and have conversations with our people, the feel is the same. Folks are tired of misrepresentation because they understand the tough situation we're in. I think folks understood that in 65, 66, 67. Folks been understanding that we're in a place where folks don't want us to progress, right? But what we're getting from the folks that are appointed, right, in leadership positions of our community, that's something I think we're redefining as a people today. And that's a wonderful place to be, people. Even in this rain, we got to understand that once we start to understand, you know, where the air is being let out of, we can seal that up. You know, even if we're sealing it up with crude masking tape, that's much better than that air flowing out, right? Yeah, we don't have the resources of a Madison, resources of a Flowood, resources of these other places. But yeah, so. But a lot going on in Jackson today, guys. 601, you know, the middle of the week, we always want to hear you call in. Let us know what you want to talk about, what you see, or just comments you have on what we've discussed throughout the week. 601-948-5950. 601-948-5950. Hop on Facebook at at Make It Make Sense Jackson. That's JXN. That's Make It Make Sense Jackson, JXN. So what's happening out there? Anything that we didn't get enough time to finish with yesterday before we jump into today's headlines?
Well, what was the recap? We was talking about the new chief. We was talking about.
We confirmed the new chief hasn't been confirmed yet, and I'm glad and thankful to our caller that advised that even though it looks like from the city council's comments, even in dissent, I think Tina Clay Ward 2, right? Was the only one that was that put forth much dissent, or at least that was put in the paper. But it seemed that there was a conciliatory tone there as well in terms of the final outcome. Just because she said, I mean, ultimately we're going to try to go along with the mayor's plan if we can. So you know, and a lot of us have said we don't see anything outstanding, right? That would make her all of a sudden say, no, I wouldn't with this. So yeah, even though it's not confirmed yet, it does look like that this new chief is going to be confirmed, or the new prospect. We talked about that yesterday.
The Daigle Law Group. What else did we talk about?
That we talked about the Daigle Law Group, DAIGLE. That just is so folks that weren't listening to the show can throw that in there. Eric Daigle is the lead. It's someone that the mayor's administration attempted to bring into Jackson prior to hiring this new chief. And so that brought a lot of concerns. Again, the Daigle Law Group, not the new chief, brought a lot of concerns about the intentions of this administration when they were brought in. And if you don't know about Daigle Law Group, again, please not to hamper on it, just look them up. You'll see, if you look them up, specifically, there's a lot about them, but the specific case with Elijah McClain, a young African-American man that was mistaken, his autism was mistaken for a drug-induced rage, and he was restrained, force-fed drugs, and killed by the paramedics and police officers there. And this group that the young man is referencing, they were brought on as independent investigators, and the city of Aurora, Colorado rejected them, as well as the NAACP and lots of other groups said that they are a group that, once you research them, is known for creating policy that protects police officers when they use force. Adapting policy so that any force that's used by the police officers can be considered appropriate. So the City Council of Aurora said that they leaned too heavily, they were too partial to police and abuse of force cases to come on as an independent investigator. And I want you to look at the racial makeup of the City Council of the city of Aurora, Colorado. And ask yourself, why would a black city council and a black administration bring this gentleman in this law firm? And they took it off. They didn't take it off. They didn't rescind it. They rescinded it, which means it can be put back on. But the question you got to ask yourself, Mississippi and Jackson, is why would an all-black city bring in a group that is known specifically, if you really want to ask, not just for supporting use of force, but helping quell any demonstration or any expression in terms of maintaining large crowds, stopping large crowds from moving. That's what they specialize in. So I think that Jackson has to ask itself, what was the administration's intention in bringing them in? Especially when you have a police chief coming in who has a resume that is sparkling with fighting against folks like Eric Daigle. So
it's like TSA. They put him through the thing, the metal detector. They seen all the problems and still said let him go through. Like,
That's an excellent analogy. It's like TSA.
It's like TSA.
Yeah.
Like we gotta get some of these TSA money.
We've got folks coming in on these city council contracts that are looking like they're walking through an alarm at TSA with weapons, with pistols, with knives, all types on them. And you've got how many city council? We have seven TSA agents. And not one, because it's everybody's responsibility, right? Because it's a collective city council. You can stop bad from being done in other wards by voting right anytime it comes up, even if it doesn't pertain to your ward. We've got to move to a different level of accountability, whether it's your ward or not. The whole point of a 7-man woman ward is so that the reasonability of that entire city together, one Jackson, the reasonability of those folks that travel through that entire city, that care about that entire city, not just their ward, right? They care about everything. Their specific assignment is that ward, but that they come together. So I think that when you don't see that happening, when you see an entire city council voting to okay an ordinance to say that folks that work for the city can't have relationships with dope dealers, when you watch a city councilman threaten to introduce new legislation saying that predominantly black men and women that have had past crimes that are trying to clean up their life, their image, and get jobs and do better, when you have a black city councilman, Stokes in Ward what is Stokes? 3, that's what I thought. And Ward 3 threatening to introduce legislation to stop, quote, dope boys from cleaning their image up. You get what I'm saying? That's such a, you got such a attack coming from within that you got to start to re-understand and reimagine what community safety looks like. And it starts with our own leaders.
Now, you mentioned community safety, right? So, they just dropped a new, I think, ordinance. They said, if you drop a homeless person off in Jackson, you could go to jail. This was on Tuesday. The Jackson City Council approved an ordinance making it a misdemeanor to transport unhoused individuals in the city of Jackson. The measure was approved on an unanimous vote and will go to effect immediately. You want to pull it up?
Yeah, I like this in case the young man knows I like to look at it in front of me. I'm not as quick as him. He can look at it on his cell phone, you all, and have a whole story to you all.
I'm struggling looking at my phone.
But you're delivering it. So what was the title again?
It was, see, my phone went dead on me.
What was it talking about?
It was talking about how they just approved an ordinance to remove, you can no longer drop homeless people off in Jackson. And it's $1,000 fee if they catch you doing it. But I was going to say that, did they been doing it in Rankin County? Or they was taking them to Rankin County?
No, that's why you got to watch out. At 4:21, a young man pulled me to an article I didn't catch, and that's excellent. This was at what's today, the 10th? This was 2 hours ago. So yeah, just the article if y'all want to look at it with us. And I see the comment on Facebook. I'm trying to clarify that comment for me, my sister. I think that you said which specific resources does Madison or Flowood have more of other high dollar advocates? Just clarify that a little bit for me. And I'll go ahead and I'll answer that. And I'm sorry, my brother, I can't see nothing, so don't hold that against me, y'all. But that's today, yes. So today the city council, 100,000 fine idea shows how serious Jackson Council is on homeless drop-offs. So we've gone from creating many houses to try to help our folks that may have hit a certain place to our city council showing how serious they are on homeless drop-offs. Let's keep going, because maybe they're talking about
that's been a thing for years here in Jackson, though.
No, maybe they're talking about that. I would hope.
Not the actual fine or the imprisonment of it, but other counties dropping off people. Yes. No, anything. You are absolutely correct. So the problem that they're addressing on face value, and I'll tell you why I have the problem with it. The problem they're addressing on face value with this ordinance is that, you've had other, municipalities. Pearl was caught on camera dropping off, actually folks from mental institutions as well as homeless folk in Jackson. You had a rampant abuse of that. That just threw me off a little bit because you see a lot of our folks being pushed out of the city right now. So there's a lot of people in the city that feel, me included, I always, I'll stand up 10 toes down, feel that these entities were dropping folks off in the city to ensure that the city could never grow or look good, to make sure that the broken window theory, stayed in effect strong in Jackson. I think that it was done intentionally, and I think that's why the drop-offs were happening, not just to get these folks out of their municipalities, but to ensure Jackson continued to take the brunt so they can never look like they were bouncing back with the type of leadership that they had. That's a lot of folks' takes, not just mine. It's a lot of news articles' takes. So I just think that it's very strange that that's being implemented now, Why wasn't that implemented when we were fighting against them? Why wasn't that implemented when Mayor Lumumba was in office and we had pictures of Pearl Police dropping them off? Why wasn't it implemented then? That's the only thing that throws me off. It's just funny when you give me water that you've had for 2 months and I've been dry for 2 months. Yeah, 2 months and 1 day, I'm happy you gave me the water, but once I get my energy back, I'm gonna ask the question, man, what happened in other 60 days? Partner, you just holding on to the water? So these type of things definitely just make me ask, why wait? Why is it coming now?
My thing about it is, if y'all so concerned about them being dropped off in Jackson, why y'all ain't doing about the ones that's already up?
They did do something about it. They made sure they passed an ordinance that said it's a criminal, it's a crime to be homeless. And the sister told me today that she saw the Capitol up there off of Lakeland aggressively forcing folks out with either the threat clearly of go to jail or move out of here. And I'm not saying that you didn't need a response to the shelterless folk, but you had that happening in a degree. But, and I talk, we are out in the streets, y'all. So if you want a question, I'll take you with me to where I talk to our people at. But I talk to shelterless folks that I used to bring food, me and KP and D, we used to bring food to after an event or something, and we used to be able to find them in certain places. And granted, folks are moving around, but I just asked them, well, how do you find out? Are you all at a house? Are you all moving? He said, no, we're being dropped off in Rankin County. And I heard that from multiple shelterless people that I finally bumped into and said, hey, I'm with my children. I used to drop food off with you. My daughter recognized one person, man. We used to give Mr. Blank, I won't say the name, food. There he is. And we saw him somewhere else. And once 3 or 4 community members tell you that, I don't care if they don't have a home or not, then you make sure you start saying, these are the reports we're getting from the people. And that's why I love being in this position of talk radio, because we can talk about what we're hearing from the people. And then folks in your position, you all are out there that have the power, you can go and start to look into this and see if it in fact has the teeth to go along with the amount of people that are telling us. But yeah, so I definitely think that that's something that should have been in effect to stop municipalities like Pearl. I just wonder why it's coming now as we see homeless folk being run out of the city.
Been the fact that they should have been removing the homeless folks out of here.
Yeah, I wonder who that's directed towards is all. Is that directed towards folks that, people are looking for shelters? Because to me, that means if you drop someone off that stew pot, I mean, does that apply to you? I don't know. I have to look seriously at that. I mean, what does that, is it only if you drop them off in a place that's not considered an appropriate drop-off zone? So I just think folks have to look deeply into that when you see our city council just continuously passing ordinance after ordinance that has nothing to do with growing the city.
How do they know when somebody dropping them off?
Yeah, I've got a lot of...
I got a lot of questions.
It says outside entities. The ordinance makes it illegal for outside entities to transport unhoused individuals into Jackson without authorization. So I just have a lot of questions. I'm not going to hang on it. You can call us if you have thoughts, 601-948-5950. But that always gives me caution, is all I'll say. It just always gives me caution because, I just think that as you watch an attack on nonprofit organizations throughout the United States of America, it just makes you wonder. Following legislation being placed in effect to stop bail reform organizations from bailing more than 3 people out per year, trying to take away all of the power they have to help those in the community that may be locked up for things that shouldn't keep them from their family. When you watch this trend of attacks, I'd be very, 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 very careful about all of this type of legislation coming out. But aware. I hope it does a lot to stop these other municipalities from dropping folks off.
Man, all this unspent money, misspent money, man, you think that I'm being a dead horse, but you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah. But I mean, no, this is not being a dead horse. We got to keep talking about it and looking for these positive ways, to support folks in these gap areas, Shout out to Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition. Big shout. I'm going to keep pushing that. Filling the gaps. It's a new thing I'm about to do. I just thought of that, KP. Called Filling the Gaps. But Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition, right? Since this storm has started, 2,500 hot meals. We're not talking Red Cross. We're not talking FEMA. Though they coordinate with these organizations. We're talking your Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition, neighborhood organizations, right? It's located right here in Jackson. Throughout the state, 1,100 cases of water distributed. 5 generators and warming centers distributed. And then Sherelle said that they also dropped off something else, a different type of heater. 5 of another type of heating device. And then 150 blankets, coats, and hand warmers have been distributed. So this week, they if you look at their website, they've reached Sunflower, Doddsville, Shaw, and Benoit. Next stops, call if you have some folks here and they're not receiving something. Clarksdale, Jonestown, Lula, Friars Point, Tutwiler, Glendora, Rolling Fork, Isola, Humphreys County. is where they're heading next, the Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition. So if you can donate anything, they've got drop-offs. Believe me, those blankets go to people.
If you want to invest your money, anybody, please invest in somebody that's actually doing something. I mean, it's obvious who's doing something, right? You just told you.
And that's the beautiful thing now. You can be proud of your folks that are doing something. This is a balance, right? In light of your administration, your government officials, in light of the rest of us, which is the hashtag for a lot of us that listen here, in light of the rest of us being left behind, we're filling those gaps. And this is community safety. This is what community progress looks like. And Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition, we always have said put the spotlight on people that are doing things. We've never been afraid to do that. And the one thing that we used to talk about is we're sure that once people keep doing what they're doing wrong to you all, folks will quickly see who's doing something right.
Exactly.
I mean, it stinks for it to have to be in this situation, but a lot of the groups that you see yelling bloody murder, you got to look to see whether that they're putting a shoulder behind that bloody murder and fighting to do for their people when their people aren't getting died. It means nothing to shout out what your people don't have political style if you're not giving it to them. And for me, it heats me up that you'll have a politician put on a suit or a nice dress, get in front of the people and talk, but you'll have a nonprofit organizer that done gave out 2,500 meals, over 1,000 cases of water, 5 generators, but then you'll have a politician get in front of y'all and talk about what the state won't do for us, and they get more props. That's wild to me.
You talking about an organization that took people that were homeless and turned them into black representatives. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right. That's right.
That's
That's called a lack of self-perseverance. When you support the individual politician, it simply comes back to tell you what the far right won't give you, right? All they're going to do is start a study to figure out why you're not getting anything. Then you got someone that feeds people that feed almost 3,000 of the people. You got 29 folks that have died in Mississippi. You think them 5 generators, you think them 150 blankets didn't cause a difference for somebody? Yeah, of course they did.
Yeah, they did.
You got to talk about these things when it happens. Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition. Look them up. Look at the groups that make them up. Look at how many are from Jackson. Look at all the way throughout Mississippi how they spread. This is what community safety looks like, and these are the type of groups they're going to continue to attack. Because if you look at it, only certain people in this state provide any relief if you get into trouble outside of a bail bondsman. Oh, how dare those Negroes think that they can get their own people out? Let's put something in ordinance legislation to stop that. How dare they think that they can self-govern? How dare they think that they can be Jackson Rising? You don't see that? You don't see the old plan of the old man. I'm talking about rest in peace, Chokwe, Lumumba, Jackson Rising. You don't see the coalitions that came through and that are still there. Look at what else Jackson Rising shows up under, and look at how it precedes this current administration. Folks are put in place to put a light out. And that light was put there to make us all shine. Doesn't matter who's in that light. It doesn't got to be the last man, it don't got to be us. But that light is what's being put out by this current administration.
There's so much diversity, and we still talking about MRC, right?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say all the diversity within that organization. Like all the people that came from things that's going on in Jackson, like you got crime, you got people without houses, you got people that's not even from Jackson, and it's just a whole bunch of people that's actually taking the time out to do stuff that these black representatives ain't even doing. I'm just showing
No, you're 100%
how strong
correct.
that pool is from the, it's like if they can do that. Like what's stopping y'all from doing it?
And that's the important question the young man just asked. And I hope that came across the line very clearly. And let me jump back to the stats that I was looking at. The young man just said, if Mississippi Rapid Response Coalition can deliver almost 3,000 meals over this short period of time, over 1,000 cases of water, and they still are delivering right now to Clarksdale, Jonestown, Lula, Friars Point, all the places you see getting hit hard. All the TikToks you see about folks going to their doors and ain't nobody been coming to them, right? 150. If they can deliver 150 blankets, 5 then why those elected officials can do nothing other than tell us how bad the state of Mississippi is? You've had 40 some odd years to figure out how bad these folks are. And you're at 46, you're still telling us that we can't get any relief because the money that the state of Mississippi got. Meanwhile, the folks that are going and getting it, you go ahead, and these are the same politicians allowing it to happen. I didn't hear it. If you heard it, please 601-948-5950. Correct me. Did you hear any of these politicians rise up in anger? Maybe 1 or 2 did when they went against these same organizations providing 3,000 meals to the people. It's the same organizations, right? Providing meals to the people when no one else is helping them. When they put a legislation against them that said you can't bail people out, did you hear any of your politicians stand up and say you're being racist against this organization? No. When the Poor People's Campaign said, hey, Judge Wingate and Hedifin, the ACLU jumped in and said, this is wrong what you're doing to folks. But you see people critique these organizations all the time. The PPC ain't what it used to be back in the 50s. Well, is the Citizens Council what they used to be? Because that's who you're choosing when you go with an administration and moves towards those policies. Think about what you said when Northside Sun said, vote this way for us. Yeah, there's problems with black organizations. I'm the first one to point them out. Hello, listen to who you listen to. But you've never heard me advocate, let's go ahead and let's work with those on the other side. That's the answer. No, let's get some good young folks into these positions that can do right by us.
Exactly.
Not let's tell all our secrets about things that are going to hurt us. It definitely doesn't hurt any black person for me to talk about a politician that ain't doing nothing for them black people. I am not hurting you. Please don't let no one tell you that lie. He's telling secrets. I'm telling secrets about you stashing the money. Yeah. That's helping these people, not hurting them. So I just think that's a great point, Mr. KPA. If nonprofit organizations can provide 3,000 meals over a week or two, you're talking a week or two, 1,000 cases of water. You're talking about people that want to drink water all week, 5 generators. You know how warm that makes a center? These people are putting these, and I'm not just beating the horse. I'm saying I'm tired of folks not being given respect while we sit up there and look up to someone who puts on a beautiful outfit and comes on to tell you we ain't getting nothing once again. And we need to do something different. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to start a study. You're going to get sick of this or sick of me. One or the other. They're going to start a study to figure out why you didn't get
I
something.
think they're gonna get sick of you first.
I think so too. I guess that's called working yourself out of a job. But you got to be that voice that lingers. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. You even say, somebody, I've seen somebody so mad that they punch someone and try to shut them up, right? But years later, that voice lingers. I've heard people in what do you call it when I'm in recovery circles and in different type of circles talk about 20 years ago how the one person they remember is this person that said this. So I promise you, this truth will stick in people's teeth like food, like popcorn. Because that popcorn does not allow you to continue to move carefully. Because the one thing about us, not me, us, and us includes all of you that gave me all this. When y'all hear me say I got this amazing idea from a community member, 80% of the time something a community member said to me is what launches a tirade. Because it's their truth that I'm bringing forth to the forefront. And you won't listen to them. You keep shutting them up. Every time they call you and say, come look at these 4 streets, like the brother said yesterday. You tell them I'm going to come look, and then you lie to them. That's what makes me angry. That's what gets me on a tirade. So if you're going to get mad at me, you better remove them people that are getting wrong done to them. Because that's all we're talking about. We talk about why we're not eating while your belly's full. You get mad at that, then that's called self-hate, isn't it?
Yeah, self-hate. You have been desensitized, my friend.
You don't like what the doctor's doing to fix you all the time? I guarantee you. I'm not going to put them out there. I'm talking about the older men in my family, the first time they got a certain procedure, right? I was the person sometimes they called, like, this food undid A, B, and C to me. But they all win. They all go. We're trying to make sure we ain't got prostate cancer. We're trying to make sure we can live a little longer for our families, right? Sometimes the pain is worth the gain. And the pain that comes with us uncomfortably looking at everything as if, what are we getting out of this? We got to do that because too many situations have left us nothing.
They saying, Chief, just let me die.
Yeah, don't worry about what you're eating next. Here's another prescription to take. Here's another meal. Is it going to give me heartburn? Why are you worried about that? Just know it's different. Just know that this is black excellence because it's a black person feeding it to you. You've just been getting poisoned for 50 years while folks been getting fat. Go look at the politicians back in the day.
They mad at them for getting. They mad at you for getting fed poison for years, and you ain't died off yet. You just so much stuff you don't even know. Like,
did you watch that entire Oath of Cain clip?
I did not.
Oh man, my brother just asked on here. Did you all watch the full interview with Oath of Cain? I'm gonna be honest with you, my brother. I did not, and I'm embarrassed because I consider myself your researcher. Don't take this as what I do. I'm gonna continue to dig into stuff, but sometimes things just. I'll be working on something else for folks trying to figure out something else, and the buffoonery starts to get to the left. Just jump on here, tell us some things that were said on there. I know it started off by going back into the old mayor, into dope dealing. And once it starts, we just at this point, and the brother, you know what I'm talking about, brother, because he tried that garbage with you. But sometimes I get tired of the dope talk, and I'll just change it. So when I saw it, I just flipped by it.
what you was talking about?
Hold up now. You talking about who was on that show or what was going on?
You know what he could be talking about. You know what? Tell us what you're talking about, brother. Yeah. Follow up with us, brother. Tell us what you're talking about. Just so we make sure which one, because a lot of stuff comes on, and I make sure I'm responding to the right thing. But what were you saying while we're waiting, KP?
I said who was overcame. What you say? You talking about the previous mayor?
I love having young people on the show. He was doing a little talk about the previous mayor, but I don't think they may not be talking about that conversation. That was a conversation between Arthur and Stokes, and Kenneth Stokes. So he may not be discussing that one. But no, I think just
Mr. O'Decane call in if he's so important.
Listen, once you activate our youth, you understand that everybody can get it, and I'm unfortunately I'm guilty of my leadership styles. But if you understood how much research and how much real dedication is behind that, in this young man, looking at what's being done, dissecting it and trying to figure out ways to get around it for people. That's what spurs that anger, you know. And I think right now we're at a very sensitive time because, you know, we're looking at all of these decisions being made, and I think we've got to focus on the city council and the mayor because there's not much we can do, and I'm getting a general consensus for folks I talk to in Jackson now. They recognize that Mayor Horn and this administration are not moving us towards a direction that all of Jackson succeeds in. And I'll leave that open as well. 601, folks, I want to say it there. 601-948-5950. I don't cut you off. I let you respond. And even if I have had a response, I let you stay on while I respond to you. I just believe we stand on truth. No need to shut you up.
I'm talking 2 hours straight, bro. What y'all
You
want
don't have to explain that to him. Yeah, the young man is confident and for good reason. But yes, we do. I mean, and you're going to see us everywhere, so there's no point. And I'm with my children 90% of the time. But call in. I mean, we're not going to shut you up. But we've got to look at the city council because the city council is where that pressure comes from. That's the only place where the mayor is making decisions right now that are just excluding a good part of Jackson. And that's not emotional talk. That's just a reality. And there's so many folks are seeing that now we're saying, okay, well, you know, now we understand where the mayor's entrepreneurial transition team played into. Now we understand where a lot of the focus was going to be once he got into office was not going to be restoring Southwest Jackson, parts of other parts of Jackson. It was going to be in allowing Gabriel Prado, a member of his transitional team, who worked with Lieutenant Governor Holzman and Governor Tate prior, to gentrify Jackson. He's building apartments, luxury apartments on State Street in Meadowbrook. For somehow the mostly Indian ownership that used to be under the Indian Store Owners Association under Surinder Singh, another fellow on Mayor Horn's transition team. He's very important because he's someone that before any of the Black Lives Matter accountability for shooting people came out, he made some very inflammatory comments about a young man, Mr. Hawthorne, that was murdered here in Jackson by a member of the Indian Store Owners Association group, a store owner, who was later charged by the Hinds County DA and moved, I think the trial was in Madison and got found not guilty. Yeah. But that is another member, and ironically, a lot of the stations that association was over, a lot of those gas stations have been sold to Gabriel Prado's family, who runs Don Gabriel gas stations. That's the gas station that all of you all reached out saying, where are all of these gas stations coming from?
So you know we've been by there. You seen them building anything yet? They started on it?
No grocery stores being built up. You're talking about no. Yes, they had an opening ceremony for the apartments on Meadowbrook and State Street, the luxury apartments that are going to, that I believe, and I can always qualify it with that, the beginning of gentrification in that area is going to be completed by Babanasi. You remember when Mayor Horn came on the radio, he bragged about his relationship with Babanasi, who just bought up property downtown, and he bragged about Gabriel Prado. Thankfully, he's saying it right to you, and I believe that fickle and uneducated background comment has a lot to do with his willingness to continue to talk to you all about people that are looking to hurt this community from a gentrification standpoint, right? I don't think folks are in touch with your intelligence level and therefore just say anything to you, especially when there's nobody that's going to respond to them or counter them, right? But he came on the radio station right here and he said he's doing big things with Babanasi, and he's doing big, he's bought up all of downtown, putting luxury apartments and other workspaces there, and he's doing big things with Gabriel Prado, who bought up Meadowbrook and State Street and has a Prado loft being built up there. Both of which they are saying they're going to bring new, good tenants in, which clearly lets you know they're not talking about you or I or any of us, no matter what school we go to here in the metro city. So we talked about other members, and we're not going to repeat it to that level. It's on the website if you want to look at it, our Facebook page. But we talked about William Herring, another member of his transition team, who has gotten contracts since coming on that transition team. These are just facts, you know, that folks are getting benefit, not us. And so the only way we're going to do something about that is we've got to start paying attention to our city council, and we've got to start putting pressure on them to not just fall in line and okay these decisions. You know, and I see our city council folk all through the time. I smile, I'm going to shake your hand. Some don't, it's fine. I'm not here to make life hard, to talk about your personal life, to say anything hurtful about you or your family or your children. I want them to flourish. But I will hold you accountable for what you say you're doing for our people when they're hurting this bad.
Well, it make sense calling you on that.
Hey, I would just like to say, y'all doing a good job. This is Mr. Rodney that I always call y'all.
Mr. Rodney, how you doing?
I tell my people, before the mayor even got elected and became mayor, this new mayor wasn't good for us. Because before he even got elected, he was doing things, and I kept telling people, just look, he was getting rid of people then, before he even became mayor. be leaders, stand up, say we don't want this no more. Stop being cowards.
Yes, sir.
You see that he's Uncle Tom. I would tell him in his face if he was here near me. I know what his plan was, and still, that invitation is open, or in the air, or whatever, Mr. Mayor. You're not doing anything. You promising people this and that. We hired you for this. You going out, bringing in people for police chiefs. You don't care about us. And like I said, you ain't nothing but a redneck Uncle Tom butt kisser.
Hey, listen, I always I got one more behind you, brother, but you know we love you, man, and we appreciate your saying. I think that's a perfect way I'm going to pull you out of here and take this next call. Thank you, my brother, for always coming into us.
All right, bro.
All right.
Straight warrior. Welcome to Make It Make Sense, caller. You on the air?
Welcome to Make It Make Sense, caller. You're on the air. Can you hear?
First of all, let me commend you on the outstanding program. I'm really enjoying it. My home is Jackson. I'm passing through. I keep up with what's going on in the city because it is my home. What I'd like for your researcher to do is research cities similar to Jackson that have a mayor-council form of government as opposed to a city manager form of government. Jackson needs a city manager form of government where you hire experts and take all the graft and all the greediness and all the corruption out of it. City manager form of government, forget about the mayor council because they're all going to end up to be crooks.
Now, I think that's a great idea, my brother. Stay with us while we work through this. The problem you have with that idea is that you've got Liz Brister from downtown Jackson, partner, that suggested that same thing during the elections, right? The same one that is pushing for John Horn to come into office and is pushing for a lot of the business to go to Madison and these other areas. So I think that's still a great idea, as you said. Look what I'm doing here. What do we do to ensure that that's not hijacked by outside factors that are going to then do just what it's meant to protect? Because if Liz Brister and downtown Jackson partners get their hands on who the next city manager is, we're in more trouble than we're in right now. So I think that one thing we've got to accept is this, that if we don't have faith in our mayor or our city council to put the right people in place, we've got a problem. Because what you're saying is such a good idea, my brother, that Liz Brister and the downtown Jackson partners thought of that when Lumumba was in a runoff with John Horn. They said, and listen, it was a backdrop to them. They thought that John Horn might not make it. They said, listen, let's put a city manager in effect. So what they were trying to do in that instance, brother, now if you get the right one in, you're absolutely correct. But what Liz Brister already tried to do was say, even if we don't get our man in, let's get a city manager in, because if we can get the person we want in there, to this brother's point, that city manager makes all of the decisions. So we've got to realize how, especially here in Mississippi, they consistently trapped us. And if we're going to do that, then we got to make sure we got our candidate, not someone before, the people's candidate who's going to be that city manager. Because let me tell you, brother, if not, and if Liz and them had gotten that city manager in, even if Lumumba had won, and had gotten it to a city manager, city council arrangement, well, you would have seen the same thing you're seeing now. Any response to that, brother, before we take the next one?
Well, legislation, you need to bring legislation to have a committee of community leaders to choose a city manager. Take it out of the city council, take it out of politics.
Yeah.
There needs to be something like a
like that.
service board. And those people will be selected. And that way you'll get the right candidate.
You get much closer to it. Agreed, 100%. You get people from the community making that decision, and those people are chosen by the community, and you just got a much better chance, to your point, of success there. We appreciate that, my brother. That's a very good point.
I'll see you when I come back through. Later on.
Yes, sir. Keep listening, and even when you're gone, jump online, whether it's our Facebook page at Make It Make Sense Jackson, or listen online radio, brother. We appreciate you. I think that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, that second point. This is what this community discussion does. We point out where our obstacles have been before, and we look at how we redo it with those obstacles in mind. All me and that brother just did was figure out the next meal, how we're going to eliminate that heartburn while still eating. And that heartburn has been these folks like Downtown Jackson Partners trying to get control. And the only problem with them getting into those positions is they tend to look out more for their interest than the rest of the people of Jackson. That's the problem there. We need someone in that position that's looking out for the interest of all Jacksonians equally.
So when he said get with the legislation, as in what? He said
And get them the right legislation that says you have the people of the community have control over that city manager. So essentially that city manager is a tool of the community. That brings the community closer to control. So now you have a city manager who's making a lot of the decisions for the city.
Okay.
You have the city council who has to approve those decisions. And then you still have your mayor in that position, but a lot of the power has shifted to that city manager. And if that city manager is overseen by the people, if we could get that type of legislation that's clean, make sure we get a city manager in there that's not connected to some black family that has been benefiting from other black oppression for 100, 200, 100 years since Reconstruction, then we could get some changes in here. But we've got to take into context all the ways we've lost before. We can't get a new shiny car and then put that drunk aunt back behind it. We can't. And I mean, that's a good analogy. It's not talking about a person. That's an analogy for what happens if you have a vehicle that you put someone in charge of after you built it up anew. So what we can't do is think of any new ideas with the same folks driving, because it's going to be the same chaotic wreck that we've seen before for us. And that's walking through Jackson and realizing the best bet for your kids is they get a job at the age of 14 for someone else if they're not going to school, or even if they are. Come help mama around the house because we're going back to 1949. Who knows what it'll be next? You're doing as much immigration removal as you possibly can. What's your next option for where we work at? So what level do you think Accelerate Mississippi would not put your children in some strawberry fields? To what level are you that confident that Accelerate Mississippi would not take that step? That's the question. That maybe take the step of actually of placing our children, because remember, and then if you're with us, let's go through the factual part of it. And that way, when these emotions come out and folks get bothered because you're talking about factual things, you remember what it is. So the ordinance lowered the working age down to 14 here in Jackson. And that's a response, whether folks want to say it out loud or not, to the high truancy that we've been experiencing, especially after the 17 schools were shut down. So as a response to that, you have Mayor Horn first hired on Northington, who came from the Mississippi Economic Council, who worked hand in hand with Accelerate Mississippi, if not called Accelerate Mississippi, the necessary tool to reinvigorate the economy, right? So that's when now you got your chief of staff that just came over from the Mississippi Economic Council, right? That pushes money into Mississippi. So now we got Accelerate Mississippi, the arm of the Mississippi Economic. They are now saying, let's put your kids to work at the age of 14.
Well, it makes sense, call you on there.
Hi, I'm calling, and this is a genuine question. I have asked people this and no one has answered. What did Mayor Horn do while he was in the legislature? Was there a bill he sponsored or co-sponsored? I can't find anything.
Well,
he sat on chairs where he controlled a lot of the appropriations, contracts. When you talk about the Mississippi Housing Corporation, he sat as the chair of the HUD, the Housing Urban Development. So I agree with you what you're saying. And I want you to be clear on how I'm answering you. I agree with you in terms of the lack of action. But I think that when we ask what has he done, we have to look at these positions he's held and ask, is your inaction an action?
Exactly. That's my point. Just because you have a title, and it's just really, really sad because I look at what he did with that airport. He came and gave everything to them. He's just handing out Jackson in pieces. What do you want? What do you want? Here it is. What do you want next? Here it is. And that's
right.
It's discouraging.
And I think that what it is, and I'll be very honest with you, my sister, what it is, and we just got to put words in people's mouths. And that's what, when he said, and he apologized for it, but for getting caught at least, when he said that Jackson voters are fickle and uneducated, what he meant, I believe, because there's nothing fickle and uneducated about Jackson voters, and I think that's clear, is that Jackson voters don't necessarily understand why the powers to be are doing the things that they're doing. So when there was such a push to put him in office, saying a change is all we needed, no matter what quality of change that was, a lot of folks didn't understand, rightfully so, and I take full accountability. We couldn't raise enough alarms, but didn't understand what that was. So now, I mean, he's simply giving back to the people that helped him get into office. And I think what he's clearly saying with his policy is, if you didn't help get me in office, then you are the rest of them. I would love to see a different response. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What you all said earlier is simply about gentrification, and they've made sure that they have everything in place to gentrify. And nothing against the new police chief, but they need someone that is going to work hand in glove with the Capitol Police, the illegal police, in my opinion, because I know of no other city in the United States that has two police departments. Nowhere. It makes no sense to me.
So you're saying they should make sure that they keep an eye, you're talking about work hand in hand and make sure that they know what's happening in the city, or just explain that more?
No, I know that they work together, because a lot of the things that Capitol Police has done, no one ever knows about.
Yes.
You never know
Yeah.
about the shootings. You never know about the beatings that take place,
Yes.
because, and the people that used to tell you, I'm afraid some of them need to go and sit down and let new people be elected in those offices.
That's right. That's right. It's just what the young man just said. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree. Well, we appreciate that, sister. And we agree. And I'll go a little further into the new police chief, because what I'll tell you is that what you're saying is exactly what she should represent for the city. And I'm simply saying based off of her resume, not having spoken to her. But when you look at this young lady's resume, let me explain to you. I mean, reimagining community safety is her goal. She got booted out of Charlottesville for exposing basically a goon squad of Charlottesville. Racist language, text messages. She tried to sue to get her job back. They denied her. So her resume reads 1,000% someone that has consistently held folks like Capitol Police that shot Jalen Lewis, that banged another young man's head against the wall and got convicted for it. Her resume reads as someone that is there. And go look her up, people. Go look at some of her videos and what she's done and what she stands for. There's no way Capitol should be able to do any of this with her there, to your point. Now, we'll see what happens, but there's no way that should happen.
Is there a way we can bring pressure to Mayor Horn? Because when I'm looking at it, they tried to take over the control of the water in Jackson previously. It got beat back. Now they're coming again, and I'm afraid it's just going to walk through, because when I look at him saying, well, we can have a board, but we just want to have majority control on the board. I'm scared of that. I don't like that. That gives me, because
that's a soft giveaway.
Third-party administrator they have, he's long outlived his utility. He knows it, because finally the judge is realizing, I'm not going to be going along with this anymore. I don't know what happened, but I thank God it happened.
Well, I would say, you know what I was saying, and sister, I just got to answer it when you said, I think you started seeing the judge being held accountable publicly for things like ChatGPT usage. You saw that the power structure that he's a part of started to hold him accountable for certain things, which usually is indication that there's a problem at home. Judge Wingate is the one that gave Ted Hennepin every single bit of power he has. Now listen, we would have the Public Service Commission overlooking a lot of these decisions if Judge Wingate hadn't written in specifically that Hennepin had the right to raise rates. A lot of these things were written in. Now remember, because you're an intelligent sister, Wingate is a regular appointed judge. A lot of times in Mississippi, we're not talking about what we need to talk about to avoid going through the same thing again. If you got a regular appointed judge appointing a third-party manager, and then the city begins to bleed, I think the bigger thing we need to point to is how do we make sure that that doesn't repeat itself next time we get our hands on something. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think that Wingate had a change of heart in any way, shape, or form. There's just nothing solid to indicate that. What it looks like is his power structure started to give him a little boot, and then he said, black folks, I need your help now. Even though I called Dr. Martin Luther King's organization racist, when they tried to ask for more protection for the community, even though I called them racist, that's what Judge Wingate called them, now I need the black people's help because these white folks are coming to get me. That's what's happening now. That's based off of facts.
See, I never knew what happened, because I was very offended when he supported Hennepin and said, when he wouldn't even give us the potable water during that freeze,
I remember
that he said he would.
And he said he wholly supported him. I'm like, wait a minute.
He thought they were friends. He thought they were friends, and that's what he boasted throughout the election. I have friends on the other aisle. What he didn't tell us is none of them friends are going to do nothing for you all. He was very open, and when he thinks we're fickle and uneducated, I just tell him I got friends. I ain't going to tell him them friends going to help them. And he boasted throughout the whole election as he refused students' cries from Tougaloo to come debate, as he refused calls from JXN to come debate, and we all know why. He remembered that Jonathan Lee, was it, face-off against Chokwe, rest in peace, the older one. He remembered that and Jonathan was, and I hope I'm saying remembered right, Jonathan was in the lead by an amount that usually is insurmountable. Made the mistake of debating with the father, Chokwe, lost that election. So you saw Mayor Horn come around and say, I don't care what the people want. I'm not debating because I'm not here to tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm here to get into a position that this state has spent a lot of money weakening the only opponent that can go up against me. And the North Side Sun was a direct response to that. What we need to start looking at is all these groups and organizations within Jackson that worked with that, narrative of let's dismantle this previous mayor with no reason. Now, I'm good with anyone that says I don't like the way you're mayoring. But I'm talking about when you saw people just calling you smoking dope and I don't want your contract and all this garbage. That's what we need to figure out. Well, what is your motive? Because they got him out of there, and look what's happening to the city. My God.
Oh, absolutely. They got him out because, I had a conversation with someone as recent as this past weekend, and I said one thing that I knew about Mayor Lumumba, and I did vote for him and would vote for him again because $50,000 is not comparable to $77 million that you're not even twitching about. So don't even bring that mess to me. I don't understand why we're supposed to have this standard of perfection for our leaders, and you know what everybody else is doing, and you're doing nothing but covering up for them. You take the prosecutor off the case because he's getting too close. I'm going somewhere with that. But Mayor Lumumba made sure that we understood what was going on. He was the vanguard, not the ones that drug him down, not the ones that kept taking him to court.
I appreciate that, my sister. They're going to kick us off here in a minute. But listen, my sister, thank you so much, A, for listening and supporting. And thank you for having the courage to speak that out loud. We appreciate you, okay? Drive safely. And let me just say, thank you for those words. Let's just be very honest. Lumumba's been out of office for 9 months, right? If I may be wrong on my math. What we really have to focus in on now is just what she's saying. You use the FBI for a lot of things here in Mississippi, and now that we're in this new position, right, we just have to look at those around us. And if we become aware enough to hold Mayor Horn's administration and this entire city council accountable daily, make sure we're not the only ones that are uncomfortable, right? Then I think we'll move to new heights here. When the sister says, what can we do to John Horn? I remember when they got mad at the previous mayor and the city council voted a vote of no confidence against the previous mayor. There was no airport land being sold. There was no 14 and 17-year-olds being put to work. There wasn't 17 schools being shut down and the response being put them to work. There wasn't Capitol Police shooting people and taking over everything. There wasn't downtown Jackson partners thriving while the rest of Jackson isn't. There wasn't West Jackson and the rest just getting potholes paved while the rest was getting new streets paved all the way into Flowood and other parts of the county. These things weren't happening. And you had the city council create an ordinance that asked for a vote of no confidence against the previous mayor. And now they just sit by and allow people to vote in ordinance that says you can't have family or relationships with drug dealers. Let city council people threaten to say people can't change their lives. Watch a mayor sell away all of our main resources. Watch our mayor reward Gabriel Prado. Watch our mayor reward Surinder Singh, who said that a black man's life is not worth a six-pack of beer.
Andy Gibson, he also allowed Andy Gibson to...
Allows Andy Gibson to bring the Dixie Parade through Jackson and boast that the previous mayor wouldn't let him do it. The previous mayors wouldn't let him do it. And this is the one that your city council refuses to file any type of notice of anything on. So this is what we need to move to. When a sister asks the question, how do we apply pressure? You apply pressure directly and locally through your city council. Why is there no ordinance coming from them about the things that we care about? And enough of you are saying you care about it, that an ordinance needs to be written. So that's our next step as we start to move towards this close, guys. We're going to close this out tomorrow. Any questions you have, or anything you want us to talk about on the show, jump on the Facebook page and inbox us. We'll definitely bring it up. Until tomorrow, for my co-host
Keanu Perry.
and myself, Target Dutois, continue to make it make sense, Jackson.